do like to keep it into a little spotlight. Hey, this is Barry Shen, and you're listening to the Dave and Creech Show.
Yeah. Hey, this is Perry. Now? Yeah?
Oh, wait, not now.
Okay.
Creech, you can tell him when. Go ahead, Creech. Tell him when.
You're good to go.
No. I meant you tell him. Well, are you talking to me or him?
Very.
Perry? You want Perry to go?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, you tell Perry to go then, and I'll be quiet. Okay?
You're good to go, Perry.
Okay. Wait. No. I thought you were going to say Perry, you're good to go. Because when you said good to go, I thought that was me again. And then you said Perry afterwards. So go ahead and, look at your recorder, make sure it's going. Perry, you're good to go, and I'll be quiet. Okay, you ready, Perry?
I'm ready.
Okay, no. He's going to kill you. Creech is going to kill you.
See what I have to deal with here?
Okay? Perry, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, Perry's ready. Creech, you kill him. I'm going to be quiet. Go ahead.
Perry, you're good to go.
Oh, I just want to make sure. Hold on, wait. Perry, you remember what you're saying, right?
I do.
What are you going to say? Go ahead and just let me hear it.
It's going to be a secret.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, well, thanks. I thought I was doing this directly. Okay, go ahead, Creech.
Perry, you're good to go.
You're listening to the Creech Show. This is Perry Shen.
Perfect.
Many of the terms, comments, and stories you're about to hear may not be suitable for some. Listener discretion advised.
I'll give you a good reason why my house is not complete. I have a professional wrestler and a gangster rapper building my house.
All right now, boys and girls, we want to introduce...
Mom says when I wear this badge, you're supposed to treat me like a man of the law.
Dave Sheridan.
I did poop my pants a little bit on purpose. I wanted to.
Oh,
so.
You did it.
CJ Creech.
I actually got on Facebook a friend request from a member of ISIS this past week, which was really
It's
freaking
your beard.
weird.
Have you seen your beard lately?
The Dave and Creech Show.
Now here's your hosts, Dave and Creech.
What is up, guys? Welcome to the Dave and Creech Show. Actually, Dave is not here, but we are live for the very first time. I've got a special guest that you've never seen or heard, but you've seen his camera work, especially the blurry interview with Steve Stanielus, I believe it was. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that was me. My mistake.
We are here with Paul Brown.
Hello.
The blurry cameraman. And you know what? I'm pretty sure he will take this opportunity at some point throughout here to really to fill everybody in on why that camera shot was blurry.
Well, I'm more of a writer, not a cameraman. And that shot, that was the trip we went down to Florida, and in 24 hours, more than 24 hours, I don't think I slept for that trip, and that was like at the height of it, I want to say. So I blame it on the fact that everything seemed blurry to me, so I assumed it was in focus.
Yeah, I don't know, because I remember vaguely looking at you before we started the interview. I was like, is it in focus? And you were like, yeah. And then I took you for your word, and then
that's my point. You could have asked me if I was filming on a hot dog, and I would have said yeah at that point.
Probably, you're probably right. But I remember going back and checking the camera footage after the 2 interviews, because I was like, he knows what he's doing, so I didn't even check after Steve. So then after the Felissa one we did as well, I look back, I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I know. You're like, don't worry, Paul's good. He went to film school 10 years ago.
I was building you up, and you completely knocked me down. Like,
I've gotten better since then. We've gone to Supercon together, and my work was definitely heads and tails above what it was before.
Well, it can't be worse. Well, actually, probably could be. No, it couldn't be worse. But I will say you're leaving out the fact that you, at Raleigh, you used autofocus.
You don't have to give away all my secrets. sometimes film magic needs to stay magic, okay?
Okay. well, yes, as we were just talking, guys, this is live. I could be wrong. Once again, this has been 69 episodes that we've released, so it's kind of hard to, speaking of episode 69, it's hard to think back on 68 other episodes and think if we did anything live, but I honestly believe that we haven't.
You know what? I could not answer that. To be honest, I am a diligent part-time, sometimes I am a diligent fan, but I have not listened to all 68. I am privileged to be a part of 69, in, that position.
Oh god, this is going to be X-rated. I mean, thankfully I already hit the explicit button because we already blew that one out of the water.
Yeah. That you had the warning at the end, so I can you can say cock balls.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. So I know that we haven't really, had Dave on the show for the most part in the past couple of weeks. And you know what? This is live. So,
what has Dave been doing?
Well, actually,
Is
Dave...
he finished with the house? Is he still working on that?
Yeah, I believe he's almost finished with the house. I'm not 100% sure.
He was supposed to get in touch with me when he was done, but,
Yeah. For those who don't know, Paul's working on a little something with Dave. So he is technically in the industry. Just hopefully it's not camera work.
I am a much better writer than I am a cameraman. I promise. That is my calling.
If you hear that loud beep, that is not an alarm. Don't be scared, guys. But
that's the sensors coming for us.
That is, yeah. Those were the sensors for the curse words that Paul just said. But no, this is actually that's just the oven because we're fucking hungry.
Yep, can't beat $3 pizza from Walmart.
Yes, exactly. I'm sure it'll taste just as good as the cardboard it came in.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but as we're going on a tangent here, so I do want to say that with it being live for the presumably first time ever, we're just going to run with that.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Dave's been house building. He actually just shot a roll in something this Monday. And as you know, sometimes, and we've talked about, he can be a little bit flaky. I texted him the other day and let him know about the interviews that we got at Raleigh Supercon.
Which were fantastic, by the way.
Which were fantastic, because of me. But I let him know who we got, and he was like, well... just text me. I gotta shoot something Monday morning, so text me Monday night a reminder, and we'll do some intros and outros to intro the interviews, and we'll also do a couple podcasts. I sent him a text, and he was like, "All right, cool. I'll call you later," and he never called. So while it may be 11:50 here right now, we're gonna give Dave a call, I guess, and we're going to hopefully. You know what? It's live, and he has no clue that I'm going to call him, so he may straight to voicemail me. He may go ring and then go to voicemail. He may pick up. And if so, then we'll let him know that he's live on the air.
I hope he picks up.
I hope he picks up, yeah.
He likes surprises.
He does. He likes pranking some people, but let's see if we can get Dave on the horn and let him know. He's probably not even going to say anything. He's going to be like, nope. I gotta go. Let's see. Ooh, that's not who I want to call.
Creech is fumbling through his phone as we speak.
I sure am. And look how many people I've called in like the past... Oh, wait, that's July. I'm looking in the wrong month anyway, but okay. Frequently contacted. Dave Sheridan is on here, right above Paul Brown.
Oh.
Alright, here we go. Let's see. I hope it doesn't go straight to his voicemail, because I don't know if it says his phone number on here.
Pound with anticipation.
I don't think he's going to pick up, but we'll find out. We should just keep calling him throughout the podcast.
Definitely.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system. 31.
Whoop, nope. We're not doing that. Let's see.
Tone. Please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Hey Dave, this is Creech, your Dave and Creech co-host. I'm here with Paul Brown.
Yes, your best friend from Florida.
We are calling because we are live on Dave and Creech for the first time ever, and we were trying to get Dave involved, but it is going on 9 over there, so maybe you've already went to bed.
But it does help because his name is in the title of the show, so participation is more than welcomed.
So, yeah, we're just leaving this voicemail, and hopefully you enjoy it, and hopefully the fans enjoyed listening. So Dave's technically here in spirit.
In spirit, through voicemail.
And if you get this and you decide to listen, hey, feel free to give us a call back. We're going to be podcasting maybe for like 1 more hour. So we'll talk live. We'll do this live. All right. Good night. Well, that was a fail.
Yeah, we'll wait like 5 minutes to call him again.
We should. We should like totally like jealous, untrusting girlfriend. Just keep calling him until he picks up.
Yeah. I know you're out with her.
It's like I know you are awake, Dave Sheridan.
You ain't asleep. I know you.
Yeah, I know you're podcasting with somebody else behind my back. But actually, you know, he's not like that at all. You're gonna hear some clicks from me, guys. But no, Dave Sheridan apparently, because I remember about it right now. I'd like to talk about this when Dave is on. We're gonna go on YouTube really quickly because what is that? Don't you just love these random noises?
That's all those pop-ups you get because of the porn you keep downloading.
Too much porn, I know. I love my granny porn. I can't help it.
Those sexy cougars.
Grannies lose their panties, you know? I mean, come on.
I want a good gilf.
My grandma I'd love to life alert with. Dave Sheridan podcast. We're just going to do Dave Sheridan interview because he did this interview when he was promoting Victor Crowley. And of course he didn't actually...
Which was a great movie.
Yeah, no, it was a good movie. Dave did great.
It's probably I don't know. When you hit the first one, it's definitely... It could be my favorite of the Hatchet series. I did watch 3 the other day, and you did warn me. Nothing negative.
So, Dave, you're here on the red carpet for the Hatchet 10th anniversary. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing...
But we're going to go a little bit further. But now, you know, he's being interviewed for the Hatchet 10th anniversary.
Like really over the top.
And so here's what he has to say about our podcast.
Shyamalan meets in Adam Green style. Like last week, I have a new movie called Naked with Marlon Wayans. It just came out.
It's coming out after a shameless plug for Naked.
Black Man. So take Bill Murray out and add in a naked black man. And I play Officer McBride. And because it's Groundhog Day, I tackled the naked black man several times. And in this day and age, it's like there's several times I'm just sort of like taking it too far. Is it really right now with the tone of America for a white cop to be tackling a naked black man 52 times on screen? I don't know.
I don't know if it's ever appropriate to tackle anybody who's naked. That's just me personally.
There was a technique to doing it. We had to rehearse several times because, again, he's black, so there's several angles that you can't tackle him or you will be, gone black yourself.
Now, where can people go if they want to keep up with you and all your projects?
Yeah, IMDb. I have a Twitter, but I never use it. I've got a podcast that I never do, so stay tuned. I like to keep my fans really craving it to the point where I don't do anything.
Yeah.
He's living up to it.
He's living up to. Hey, at least he's owning up to it.
Man of his word.
And he says he's never on Twitter, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go on his Twitter, and I'm going to tweet our podcast live right now. Because I can. So yeah, while I figure out how to do that, it's been crazy. I've got to get on a regular schedule here with doing these podcasts, but just part of it's laziness, though, to be truthful.
Well, it takes a lot. I mean, it's really nice, like your whole setup. You come into my house and you set up the computer, but then you put all these nice, colorful rugs along the wall, the tapestry. It's so nice. You lit incense. I mean, you really go all out for your podcast. You really kind of get the whole finesse into it.
I do. I definitely try to make it feel like my home away from home.
You do.
All that's missing is my porno mags.
Exactly. I mean, and I know they can't see me. That's why it's baffling me. Why did I have to take my pants off for this?
Well, I can't really speak to that right now.
Okay.
Because you're not supposed to tell anybody about this. That is for our tryout.
Okay.
A little bit later on.
This is my
We're
tryout.
having the Dave and Creech casting couch a little bit later.
Okay.
So, yeah, it'll make sense. After the podcast is over, it'll make sense. It is episode 69. You'll do the math. It'll make sense. So yeah, now that we've probably thoroughly repulsed pretty much anybody who could be listening, or even if nobody's.
Let's call Dave again.
We should, we should call Dave again. Yeah, it'd be like, you know what? It's now officially 9 o'clock over there in California, and his fortunes hopefully have changed in the past 5 minutes. But as Paul takes his pizza out the oven, we're gonna start talking. Really, this whole episode is about Raleigh Supercon and where and what we did, or what we did and where we did it, I guess. We're gonna kick this off though by mentioning the fact that we almost didn't make it to Raleigh Supercon.
Oh, the trip to Supercon was almost better than Supercon.
And that's kind of funny in and of itself, because you always want to trust the side driver.
Well, you always want to trust the driver as well. I mean, we can paint the picture. I mean, it was like 4 in the morning. It was a bit, I wouldn't say foggy out, but it wasn't completely clear. It was, so there we are, like the only people at a stoplight, and looked like a utility vehicle was ahead of us doing road work, whatnot, pulling up signs apparently, and they went right. Well, we had to go left, and so as we looked, we noticed there were cones. So we figured, okay, we must have to stay on the left side of the cones, which was sort of the middle of the road, right?
Yes. And that's what I thought, because there was no signs on the road we were on prior saying that there was any sort of road construction.
No, I'm pretty sure that's what that truck was doing, taking away the signs. So
they had already taken a little bit past where we were at. So when I turned left, I just kept going straight, because I was assuming that was where we needed to be. But then all of a sudden, like two actual Department of Transportation workers.
Well, actually, it was more like there was a stalled van, so you swerved to go around it, and then when you did, there was more like 8 Department of Transportation workers in the middle of the road with their arms flailing in the air, begging not to be hit.
I only remember the lady. I remember the lady who looked and almost dove out of the way. Like, I wouldn't have hit her because I saw her, but like she mouthed, "What the fuck?" And then like her life flashed before her eyes that I drove right past her. But at that point, I figured out, oh fuck, we are in the actual construction zone right now.
Yeah, we were not on the road, and then we saw the other cars doing the right thing on the other side of the cones next to us as we continued.
We're continuing going
down
straight,
the middle, through the DOT.
And Paul over here is just like, just go through the tape. It'll break away. It's made to break away. Just go ahead and do that.
The cones had caution tape wrapped, connecting them together, and that's what these workers were doing. They were unwrapping the tape. So, instead of CJ flooring it through it, we casually move slowly into the tape and just gradually keep going. The tape hooks onto the car, and we drag about 4 cones half a mile behind us with the tape before CJ finally opens the door, pops the tape with his hands, and we drive off, hitting the highway as fast as we can to get to North Carolina before the all points bulletin goes out for this car.
Yeah, exactly. And see, that's the thing. Like, it was, I was like trying to just keep. I was like, fuck it. I'm already in the construction zone. Let me see if I just keep going straight. Eventually, I should run into the end of it, right? So I could get over. But then we were driving really slow, and you kept, come on, man, hurry up, get out of the way, or whatever. You were wanting me to go, so I was like, well, shit, okay, whatever, fuck it. He
wanted you to go before we got pulled over.
He knows. He seems like he knows what he's talking about. Let's go in, and yeah. So I started to pull in, and the first thing I know is the fucking cone is coming with the tape, and I'm like, oh, this is not good. And instead of stopping right there, I'm like, okay, well, let me just go faster. Maybe that's what it needs to do. So then I speed up, and then suddenly 3 more cones come towards me. One of them goes underneath my wheel. I feel like running over it. And apparently it knocked a couple others into the side of the road. So by the time...
Well, they were all connected, so then we dragged all of them.
Yeah, so like we were starting to drag them, so I was like, oh shit, we've got to... By this point, we've made it 10 times worse. Like, they probably think we're drunk, but we've made it 10 times worse at this point. So let's go ahead. I open the door, and I grab the tape, and I tear it. Thankfully, I didn't have to use my teeth, because I would have teeth, that damn thing if I had to. But thankfully, I broke the tape, and all I could help do at that point is look in my rearview mirror and see like the line of cars stopped on the other side
because they can't get through all the cones.
Because the cones that I've knocked over, them also probably looking and going, what the hell is going on right now? So that completely kicked off our trip. And then the rest of the trip,
the only thing I could say at the time was, damn, that tape is strong. It is built to hold.
Well, yeah, and that was the only thing you could say, because like 5 minutes down the road, you were like passed out. Didn't wake up till after we crossed the border.
I figured it was safer for me to close my eyes the rest of the drive.
You wanted to feign ignorance in case a police officer came, huh?
Exactly.
Well, yeah, so we got there. We had to park all the way at the top.
The parking
Raleigh.
garage. Yes.
There's a giant acorn across the street, and I didn't quite get that. It was a super fast line to get in, though. Like, I did like that about it. It was really, really, a really fast line. And then we get hit with this. Like, for those who followed us for a while, I mean, I've done convention. I've done press at conventions like Walker Stalker Con, Heroes and Villains Fan Fest, Days of the Dead, Mad Monster, and I've been at Wizard World. I've done a lot of this, and some of the things that they did were kind of weird and odd, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it was different setup.
It was like they wanted. I've never been, because basically media and most other conventions is, it's. You just go there. You have the badge.
You get your pass.
If you're able to, or if they're willing to, then you'll do an interview.
Yeah.
If they don't want to, you don't. There's no really setting up of interviews, if that makes sense, in advance. And they never communicated that we needed to set interviews up in advance. Like in my communications with the press person prior, they never told me that.
No.
And it wasn't until we picked up our press badges that they told me that. And I'm like, well, damn, we're here for one day. So I figured if we were doing press for one day, you know what? I'm gonna do what I do best, and that's go get some interviews, because they were like, sorry, you can't request them the day of. Better luck next year. Was what basically the gist of what they told me.
You had to contact their liaison there at the con to set up interviews for a later time, and then they said no day of, basically.
Yeah. Because they said, the reason they said no day of was because lines and wanting to make sure that the fans got the due, which I completely understand that. However, unless you're Dave Bautista, no line is busy all the time. There's always a downtime.
Yeah, they ebb and flow. I mean, there's high times, and then there's times it dies down and picks back up again. Comes in waves. So, which was neat, because this was my first convention experience overall. I've never been to any convention, much less done press coverage of a convention. So it's kind of popping two cherries at once for me.
Yeah. This was your first one. It was different from the ones I went to, but yeah, I got some great interviews, and that's because even though there were some of the regulars, I guess you would say, some of the regular celebrities, they knew what was up. So like they would say, "Sorry, you've got to get it through this person," and so I was able to still wrangle up quite a few decent interviews, great interviews actually. One that's blowing up the internet right now, Mick Foley, shameless plug. And that one's actually on YouTube right now. But, yeah, it's just kind of...
Well, I know it was blowing up the internet because of that fantastic camera work.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they didn't. The video's not on the all the websites that are sharing it. So no, that was.
It's because copyrights. I mean, it's an ordeal. It's a system.
But yeah, so I've got interviews coming up that you'll be hearing on here after they. Here's the thing: we did this as press for FanFest, so FanFest News gets the first exclusive anything. So, like the article with Mick Foley went live before the video. And now you'll be hearing it on the podcast, maybe the next episode. And that's going to be pretty much how every interview goes. Before you can hear it here, you can read it first on FanFest, because it was for FanFest. And, yeah, I've got interviews with Mick Foley, Kane, Amy Jo Johnson, First Ever Crush, and Barry Bostwick. And you got one with Sam Jones.
Yes. Flash Gordon.
Yeah, and now that we could end the podcast or here. Okay, well that's who we interviewed. That's who you got coming up. But we're going to talk a little bit about the con a little bit longer, and then we're going to just discuss the interviews. And then we'll go our separate ways. Yeah.
Let's try and call Dave again.
Well, first, let's go over the convention. I'm going to give him some time to maybe he can call us back. I want to be responsible, respectable. And I'm just hoping nobody heard or uses some kind of audio thing to hear his phone number, because I didn't know. I don't call his phone that often, at least didn't get the answering machine. So, okay. I'm going off on a tangent. That's what happens when it's late at night and you do a podcast. But basically, Raleigh Supercon, it seemed like the volunteers knew what they were doing. They were very helpful. The line system was really dumb.
No, yeah. No, it was also
weird how they had everybody separated. I'm used to actors and actresses being, separated and put throughout the actual convention floor. But this is the first convention I've ever been to where all the actors were in one section.
Yeah, they kind of lined
and all the vendors were on the other side.
Yeah.
So, you had a bunch of lines of running into each other, basically.
Yeah.
Which was just horrible to get through. And I think that could use some work. They didn't actually even have ropes. Like Walker Stalker Con will use ropes for the bigger guests to form lines, but
they had tape on the floor.
They had tape on the floor that wasn't even human sized. Granted, I'm a bigger guy, so of course if I'm standing there, my gut's hanging over into the other lane, but I just feel like that could have been done a little bit better. But overall, I think we had a very positive experience. I would definitely recommend if the Supercon comes anywhere to you. I know they have one in Florida and North Carolina and probably Tennessee. Definitely check it out. But now we're going to get into the meat and bones of why we were there for the interviews, and we're going to discuss each one. Now we're going to start off with the interview of the hour right now, the one with Mick Foley. And I was actually super nervous for this one.
Yeah. You really took some time, and I could tell you really wanted to get this one right, and you were nervous, but you pulled it off really well. I mean, you worked through it, and you got the job done. I mean,
I did, and now it's
one of your idols, though. I mean, growing up, we know each other for a long time. I mean,
I loved, and I still love wrestling and pro wrestling. But yeah, Mick Foley had such a huge impact on my life, not just because of he was a bigger guy, but still won the world title. Which gave me hope at the time that I could become a professional wrestler, because if Mick Foley could become champion, I could. I mean, I loved reading, and I read his autobiography, Have a Nice Day, and Foley is Good, many times. I actually, the first one I read was actually, obviously Have a Nice Day. I got my entire family to read that, and my dad read it and he liked it, but my sister and mother weren't even into wrestling, and they read it and they enjoyed it. But I've just been a huge fan of his entire career and followed him pretty much everywhere he did. And I was so worried that he was, not going to live up to the reputation and the expectations in my mind. But he was super nice. And it's kind of cool and fitting and that this interview would actually kind of blow up in the wrestling community, because it's kind of like come full circle in that way.
Yeah.
And I'm really thankful for that, and really glad that even though it took almost 20 years, I finally met Mick Foley. Now the next one was maybe predicated on a little white lie. Next interview that we did. Which would be Kane, who actually, as of now, is the mayor of Knox County, Tennessee. So that's pretty cool. That I was one of the last interviews that he did before he became mayor. Mm-hmm. But I believe his manager misheard me when I said we were from FanFest News.
Yeah, they thought we were from the con.
I think he thought that I was actually from the con. And actually, that's exactly what he told Kane, was that I was with the con, but I didn't...
Well, he said that, he goes, "Oh, you guys are with Supercon," and we said, "Yep."
Well, yeah, we didn't really say anything.
No, I said, "Yep."
I didn't say it. Okay, so you said yeah, but I didn't also stop him from telling them, from saying, no, that's wrong. I didn't correct him. So I got an interview with Kane, and that one's really, really short. It's only like a minute and a half, 2 minutes. Kept it short and sweet because I didn't want to wait there long enough for them to find out that we were not with Raleigh Supercon. Mm-hmm. And then Kane started talking to me about how the con was like basically telling me that he's having a fun time at the con. In my mind, I'm like, cool, dude. I hope you are. And that's cool. I tried to say something that sounded like I was with the convention. I was like, great, yeah, it's been really busy here today. We've enjoyed it. But, yeah, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Next is the interview that you didn't even want me to do at first, because you went up to Barry Bostwick and you started talking to him, and then he thought you were press coming to interview him because you had your press badge on, but you also had the Kolchak.
Yeah, I had my Kolchak press badge on as well, and so I told him I said, "Oh, he goes, 'Hey, Carl.' I said, 'Oh no, this is fake. This is from the show I'm working on, something.' And because working on a project. We won't go there, but
yeah.
So I always wear it, and so I kind of misled him a little bit. I was like, but I am with the press, but I just wanted to talk to you, and then I ultimately just started fanboying. Sadly enough. Yeah, I'm not even that huge of a fan. He was just so nice, and he was so fun to talk to. We went back and forth, and
it's kind of funny though.
And
because
it ended awkwardly though, and
it was kind of funny because it definitely did. I noticed you fanboying because like I couldn't. I even though I was close and I took those pictures, like I couldn't hear everything you were saying, but like I heard very loudly like certain words you were saying, keywords, like, and the way you said them, like Rocky Horror Picture Show, and you just seemed like you were nerding out, and I was like, oh my god, this is this is not good.
I'm just glad I stopped before I did the time warp.
Yeah,
and,
you kind of. Well, see, if you'd have been apparently there Sunday, the dude from NSYNC that was there, Backstreet Boys, whichever,
Joey Fatone,
and the girl who played Magenta actually did the time warp at their table.
Really?
So you missed that. But I knew you embarrassed yourself, so I made it a point for a while to keep bringing you to that table.
Yeah, you would lead me around the con, and I would follow, get lost, and then before I knew it, I was back right in front of Barry Bostwick. He's threw it 3 times to the point where it got weird, and he would look at me every time and kind of cut his eyes, and I'm like, oh god. And then CJ goes, well, let's go interview him. I'm like, I can't.
Yeah, I was like, are you sure you don't want to interview him? And yeah,
I was like, at this point, I felt like a stalker, and I probably came off as a stalker because somebody kept leading me and to him over and over and over again.
Yeah, see, he hadn't even seen me yet, so he just keeps seeing Paul over and over again. So, yeah, we've talked about, I think I've talked about on this show before, the whole Zach Galifianakis story.
Yeah.
About messing his name up. And I told Paul that story before we had gotten to the con. And sure enough, I almost had a slip up. But an even worse slip up with Barry Bostwick, because
you didn't even remember his name. When you
I knew his, and my mind completely went blank through the intro,
and I saw it as soon as it happened because you said you stumbled for a minute. You go, we're here with a dynamic actor. He's very diverse.
You see, I had to completely thank God I could somewhat think on my feet, because what happened was, I'm doing the intro and I'm trying to some of these intros, especially this one, I didn't know who I could get, so I didn't really prepare too much, and I'm already thinking about Amy Jo Johnson at this point, and what I'm going to actually say to her, and how long the interviews, and I'm trying to do this in my head, and I just kind of threw this interview out to do it. And so basically what happened was, hey guys, this is CJ with FanFest. And by that point, I'm trying to think, what question am I going to ask him for the first question? So I'm not even thinking about the intro. And then when I try to think, I'm like, oh god, I cannot remember his name. Like, what is his name? Which is weird because I followed his career almost, since I was a kid. I mean, Rocky Horror Picture Show was big with my sister, and I love Spin City. And then one of my personal favorite movies he's been in recently, Tales of Halloween. But
good in that.
Yeah, basically, I blinked, and within a couple of, it seemed like honestly, when I was doing the interview, it seemed like it was like 10-15 seconds of me not knowing what to say. But in actuality, it was maybe like a second and a half.
Yeah,
I followed it up so quickly that he didn't catch on.
No, he didn't.
To that, I had completely forgotten his name for a minute, and I almost, I had to stop myself. Like, if you watch the video, like, my eyes dart for a minute, and I'm like, at that point, almost committing to turning around, looking at the actual poster behind me with his name on it, just to remember it. But when I start to turn, I remember his name. And I'm at that point, I'm already ahead of what I'm actually, what movies he was in. So I just start saying, with the legendary actor who's played such wonderful characters like Brad from Rocky Horror Picture Show and the mayor of Spin City and Satan and Tales of Halloween. And when I mentioned that, and maybe it seemed like he peeked up for a minute because he was like, he was like, whoa, okay, so this guy knows his shit.
Yeah, he was kind of surprised at that one.
So, like, I wanted to, continue on with the interview, and thankfully I didn't mess anything up with that. It's actually a really good interview. It turned out to be our longest interview. It was almost 10 minutes long.
It's very detailed.
It's very detailed. You get to learn a lot of great things that you'll hear on here eventually.
And I felt like it kind of was my salvation after the awkwardness, because when you did go up to interview him, you're like, I'm CJ with FanFest, and he goes, okay, so you're CJ with the press, and you're with Paul. He turns to me, he goes, Paul, you're not the press.
Exactly.
I was like, yeah, busted.
Yeah, so I at least left there with the embarrassment of forgetting his name for a brief moment. Really only affecting me. He didn't know, and
No, you saved it.
I salvaged Paul's, so Paul didn't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to worry about that.
So I don't think he'll stink eye me at other cons,
Yeah, I don't think he will either.
He was super nice, super fun to talk to, though. I mean, he was funny, witty, tall guy. I didn't realize how tall he was. Man.
He was very super nice. Speaking of super nice, Henry Winkler.
Oh, man.
Like, was it...
The man walked through the line we were standing in, shook everybody's hand and said, hi, I'm Henry. Thank you for waiting. And then went back to the front of the line and continued talking with everybody. Was in front of his table the entire time. Didn't stand behind the table. I don't even know if you caught this or not. But when we were over by Kane and Jerry the King Lawler, Jerry turned to his handler and he said, I've been watching Henry all day, and he does not stand behind his table at all. He is out front greeting everybody. He goes, that is the way we should all be. I kid you not, that's what he said. I don't know if you heard that or not.
I did not.
Because we're trying to interview Kane, and I happened to hear it, and I was like, wow. I was like, that says something. Even other celebrities take note as to how Henry goes out of his way for all of his fans, and did that great magic trick from Click.
Exactly. Which we caught on camera, and we caught on camera per his request, by the way.
Yes.
But I also caught Paul giddy fanboying over there, clapping like a walrus. It was
only because Henry was so amazing. I was in the moment with him, I mean, everybody was. It was so fun just to be around him. It made me feel like I was 12 again, and the Fonz was up there just being magical,
It's only, it really makes me kick myself that we didn't even try it for an interview with him, because he seemed...
We didn't even think about it. We filmed him doing the magic trick. We talked to him so well off, and it was... You know what I'm saying? It was so nice talking to him that we didn't even think about business.
Yeah,
we were there for.
Yeah. He was the nicest person I've ever met, and I will go so far as to say, I mean, I've been doing this, doing press at conventions for 4 years now, and I've easily met over 100 people that you would classify as celebrities, from people who've been in gigantic movies, Academy Award-winning movies, long-running TV shows. And I have never met someone nicer than Henry Winkler. He's hands down the nicest person, considered a celebrity that I've ever met.
I was so grateful and humble. I mean, it was just...
It was
a wonderful... I mean, if nothing else... I mean, the con was great, and everybody we talked to was great. But if nothing else, that was probably the greatest moment at the con for me, just because of how nice he was, and it was really just such a neat experience. You almost can't put it into words, honestly. And it sounds weird, you're just talking about a person, but I mean, it was more than that. It was just really neat.
I happen to agree. And now we're going to go from Henry Winkler.
It's Zach Galifianakis?
Yeah. to probably the most daunting interview I've ever done in person. Not necessarily because of I wouldn't say name value or anything, but because of the fact that this is the first girl that made me even just discover girls. I didn't crush on any human being until I laid eyes on Amy Jo Johnson, who played Kimberly Hart, the pink original Power Ranger. And
you walked away from that interview and started blushing. Like, you were trying to hold it in the whole time, but you did. You were fanboying a little more than I was with Barry.
Yeah, and I don't ever fanboy. But yes, this was definitely a huge fanboy moment for me because, like I said, I grew up on the Power Rangers. She was the first girl I ever had a crush on. And I can remember back in the day being a part of the Power Rangers fan club. And when you joined the fan club, you got autographed photos from the cast. And I loved the Kimberly Hart autograph. And it got destroyed one day when I was a kid, and I was distraught. Like, it was rough. And now, meeting her 25 years later, I'm now grown up, and I'm just glad, one, because we had to keep going to her line
over and over
again because it was
it
like,
almost looked like we weren't going to get it.
I seriously didn't think we were going to get it because it seemed like, first off, she was almost busy nonstop from the moment she got there to the moment we did the interview, which she actually slowed down, and there was a moment for us to get this interview, but like they weren't sure on times and everything, and I was thinking we were gonna, even though she said she was gonna do it, I was in my head, I'm like, I'm not gonna get this lucky. This is as close to her as I'll get. But no, somehow last moment, hands up, praise to Jesus. I got the interview, and she did it, and I did it. It was like 4 or 5 minutes long, maybe. And once again, this was another one that, even though I was actually prepared pretty well for hers, but when the light came on and it was time to do the interview, I forgot, because I was in such a, like, I was inwardly fanboying already. I forgot everything. Like, everything I was going to ask. I had thought up these great questions and everything, and I forgot. Like, I'm watching the interview. It's not a terrible interview. I mean, it's
not.
But I will say that it's not what I envisioned. It would have been a lot better if I'd have went with what I did. But like, for completely fanboying and forgetting everything you had to ask, I think I did decent. I didn't like bundle up and fall on the floor in a fetal position crying tears of joy, which is what I really wanted to do, to be honest. But that came much later at night in my bedroom.
Getting back to the picture that got destroyed, I mean, what did you think was going to happen when you taped it to the underside of your pillow?
I didn't tape it to the side of my pillow. I took it to school.
Oh, yeah.
Put it in my backpack because I wanted to show it off. Because, back then I didn't have Facebook to post it on for everybody to like. So I brought it to school and it got ripped. My parents threw it away.
Before Facebook, there was show and tell at school. That was about
exactly. That was where I got all my likes back in the day.
Yep.
And it was, I will give a shout out to Michelle Pepper, who's probably not listening right now. But she's been a listener of the podcast. She's more of a fan / friend of Dave's before this meetup than mine. But I met her and we spent time with her.
Yeah,
and
she hung out with us at Supercon. She was cool.
She was super cool at Supercon.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, she hung out with us, and
it was super good.
Yeah, it went super good. So yeah, just giving a shout out. Yeah. So that's pretty much it. Yeah, did a shout out for Michelle, and yeah, I don't even know if anybody's listening. I don't even know how to view anything with this. Nobody sent a message, but it doesn't actually tell you if anybody's currently listening. But I think we should try to call Dave one more time.
Yes.
Okay, what we're gonna do, because we don't actually have an outro, guys. So it's been 30 minutes, so we're gonna try to call Dave one last time before we get off the phone.
Sure.
And we're gonna go back to Dave Sheridan. He's probably gonna send it straight to voicemail. Oh, I didn't even think it was going to ring. Maybe Dave Sheridan can wish everybody good night. Maybe. Don't think he's going to pick up, guys. No. He's sending it to voicemail. So, on behalf of Not Here Dave Sheridan, this has been CJ Creech
and Paul Brown
for the Dave and Creech Show, number 69, the Raleigh Supercon special. And if there's any other stories that we've forgotten in the 5 days, forgive us. But we might remember them and we can talk them on the next one. But yeah, guys, thanks for hanging with us this late at night for our first ever live thing. We'll do more live somewhere down the road. This is kind of a trial. It's also kind of late, so that's probably why, if nobody is listening, we are in fact talking to ourselves.
Exactly.
So, any last words?
Do I have to go get on the couch now?
Yes, it's time to get on the couch.
All right.